Hello everyone, this is Vivek and this is my next video on allegations and mixtures, and this is a continuity video wherein we finished one particular concept in allegation mixtures in the previous video, and this video will be a follow-up of that. Okay, let's get started with our video. So firstly, I'm just, as I said again, the first question will help us to learn through the other questions here. So we'll start with the first question here. So we'll learn the concept also here itself. A container contains 50 liters of milk. From the container, 10 liters of milk was taken out and replaced by water. And this process is repeated one more time. How much milk is now left in the container is the question. So a container contains 50 liters of milk. From the container, 10 liters of milk was taken out and replaced by water. And this process is repeated one more time. How much milk is now left in the container is the question. So we know that is a container which has 50 liters of milk. So it is purely having 50 liters of milk. Now what happens is this 50 liters, there's some 10 liters which is removed. So we know when 10 liters is removed from this, we will only have 40 liters of milk. So this is 40 liters and everything is going to be milk, because they've said they've just removed 10 liters of milk. So everything is going to be milk only. Now what happens is, with this 40 liters of milk, in that container itself, they're going to add some 10 liters of water. Maybe this is the container and we have 40 liters of milk into it. They're going to add some water. Okay, they're going to add some water. So now when they add some water, we know what happens here is, we'll have 40 liters of milk is present in the container. Along with that, this 10 liter of water is added. 40 liters of milk is there. Along with that, 10 liters of water is added. This water. So totally we'll have 50 liters. This 50 liters, now we'll have milk and water in the ratio 40 and 10, which is nothing but the ratio is 4:1. Now what happens is, they've said the process is repeated one more time. The process is repeated one more time, which means again 10 liters of milk is removed and water is added. So if that is the case, what happens now is, again when I remove 10 liters from this, when I remove 10 liters out of this, we know the milk and water in the mixture is in the ratio 4:1. So when I remove 10 liters out of it, or if I remove 1 liter or any number of liters, it will still come out in the ratio 4:1 only. It will come in the ratio 4:1. So that 10 liters will come out in 4:1 ratio, which is nothing but 4 plus 1, 5 parts. So 5 parts is 10 liters. So then 4 parts will be milk and 1 part will be water, which means 5 parts is 10 liters, 1 part is 2 liters. So I'll get 2 liters removed from the water and 8 liters removed from the milk, because it will come out in the ratio 5:1. Sorry, 4:1. So 8 liters of milk is out and 2 liters of water is out. So I'll have I'll have 32 liters of milk and 8 liters of water, but this brings up to 40 liters. But now the process, if it has to be completed, I should have that 10 liters of water along with this. Yes. So now I should add that 10 liters of water along with this. Now when I add this water along with that, my final solution is going to be 32 liters of milk and 18 liters of water. So that is how we're going to get. So how much milk is now left in the container? It is 32 liters. It's very simple, but the process is big. When they say 2 times, okay, we are able to do somewhere. If they say 3 times or 4 times, things are going to be even tougher for us to handle. So the best way we can see here is, our answer is 32 liters. But what happens here is, when we look at it, initially 10 liters of milk was taken out and replaced by water, and this process repeated one more time. So which means, in the mixture, from 50 liters of milk was removed and 10 liters of water is added. Then again mixture is removed. From that 10 liters of water is added. What is happening here is, the milk is getting reduced in the form of mixtures. I mean, milk content is not getting added, only water is added. Only water is added, which means only the reduction part is happening in milk and there is no addition part. So which means we could very easily say this, if 20%, 10 liters is nothing but 20% of 50 liters, 20% of 50 liters. So if 20% of 50 liters, I'll come back to this. We know the milk portion is 32 liters here. So 32 liters here, we'll come back to this. How do we get it? So all that I'm trying to tell you here is, 50 liters is what we have. This 50 liters 50 liters of milk, completely it's milk. 50 liters of milk is what we have. 20 liters of milk is removed. So 20 liters of milk is removed initially. So if I remove 20 liters out, I'll get 10 liters reduced. So 10 liters gets reduced, it becomes 40 liters. Now we know the end solution is 32 liters. 32 liters is because 32 liters is nothing but 8 liters less than 40. So if it is 8 liters has to be reduced, 8 liters is how many percentage of 40? It is 20 percentage of 40. So which means again only then we'll get 20% gets reduced. Our answer is going to be 8 liters getting reduced, and answer is going to be initially 50, then again minus 10 minus 8. So our answer is going to be 32 liters. So how do we get this 32 liters? Again, with the total portion of milk, again 20% is getting reduced. It's not totally, even if I take it as 10 liters, this 8 liters is nothing but the milk content that gets reduced. We know, in the previous type what I did is 50 liters, from that 10 liters removed, 40, 10. Then I did 50 liters, from this comes in the ratio 4:1. When I say 4:1, which means 80% of milk and 20% of water. So 80% stays as milk and 20% stays as water, which means this 40 liters is going to be 100% of milk. From that 80% is going to stay with us. That is where we get 82 liters. In the next process, 32 liters becomes your 100%. With this 32 liters, again 20% gets reduced, which means 80% of 20%, 80% of 32 liters will be staying back in the container. So it is going to be a process. More often we can do it with the help of percentages here. So all I'm trying to tell you here is, there instead of the whole portion, what happens here is 50 liters initially we have, that 20 liters is reduced, which means I'll have 80% of the milk with me. I'll have 80% of the milk with me after the first process. So once this process gets over, we get the answer as, we know the answer is going to be 40 liters. Again, what happens in this 40 liters, 20% is removed. So 20% gets removed, again it's going to be 20%. The reason is because 10 liters is getting removed from 50. 10 is 20% of 50, but it is already in the ratio 4:1. Because it's in the ratio 4:1, it gets reduced. 80% of that value is what we get. So 80 by 100. So our answer is going to be 32 liters. So all that we have to do is 50 into 80 by 100 into 80 by 100 gives us the answer very easily, because as I said, milk gets reduced in the same portion. So it is 20% getting reduced. All that we have to do is 80 by 100 of the milk will be we'll have it in the first portion. Second portion we'll have 80 by 100. So it is nothing but 2 zeros out and 2 zeros off, and we have 1 zero out. 8 into 8 is 36. 64. 64 into 5 is 64 into 5 gives us 320. 320 divided by 10. So our answer is going to be 32 liters. The portion of milk here is going to be, I'm just going to see how much of milk can I have. I'm retaining. So 20% is out, which means I'll have 80% of the milk pending with me. So that's why I multiplied by 80 by 100. Probably we can do it like this: 50 into 4 by 5 into 4 by 5 can give us the answer very easily. Answer is 32 liters. A very simple procedure. Okay, because 80 by 100 is nothing but 4 by 5. So answer is 32 liters for this question. Fine. So probably we'll get on to the next question for a better understanding. So a container contains 90 liters. This is a shortcut with which we can solve that. A container contains 90 liters of milk, from which 9 liters was taken out and replaced with water. And this process was repeated 2 times. The quantity was repeated 2 times. The quantity of the mixture in the milk is. So a container has 90 liters of milk, from which the container 9 liters of milk was taken out and replaced with water, and this process was repeated 2 times. So the quantity of milk in the mixture is, so initially there was 90 liters, from which what they've done is 9 liters of milk was taken out, and this process was repeated 2 times. So this process was repeated 2 times means they're saying as a whole the process was repeated 2 times only. If they had said further 2 times, it means like totally it is done 3 times. Here they've said the process was repeated 2 times, which means 90 by 100, from which 9 liters was taken out. 9 liters is nothing but 10 percentage of 90. 10 percentage of 90. So 9 liters is nothing but 10 percentage of 90. So 1 by 10 into 100 gives you 10%. So it gives you 10 percentage of 90. So if 10% gets out, we'll get 90% retained. Again, the second time it's 90%. Just that multiply by 90 by 100 into 90 by 100. So it is nothing but our answer is going to be 9 cubes, 729. 729 by 10. The answer is 72.2.9 liters of the quantity of milk in the mixture is 72.9 liters. Quantity of milk in the mixture is 72.9 liters. It's very simple. All that we have to see is like how much is taken off and how much do we have in our hand. Answer is 72.9 liters. A very simple concept. Nothing big here. We do not concentrate much on this. Probably another shortcut which you can use here is what I would suggest you here is 90 liters is our 100%. We can say 100% is our 90 liters. That is also possible. But now 90 liters is removed as 9 liters, which is nothing but 10%. So if 10% gets reduced, how many times the process is happening? 2 times. 2 times, which means 90 by 9 by 10 into 9 by 10. We can say 90 by 100 into 90 by 100 or 9 by 10 into 9 by 10. Which means whatever the value we get here, 90 into, we'll get 9 by 10 into 9 by 10. So this becomes more of a square. 9 squares value is 81. So 81 by 100. Okay, 81 by 100. It is nothing but what I'm trying to tell you here is 100% is 90, what we know, and we know 10% gets reduced twice. So we can say 9 into 9 is 81. 9 by 9 into 9 divided by 10 into 10, which is nothing but 81 by 100, which means 81% of the content out of 100% is staying back with us. So we could very easily say the minute you see the question 100% is 90, then 81% is x. If you do this, we'll get to the answer very easily. 100% is 90, 81% is x. So the answer would be 81 into 90 by 100. So the answer is 729 by 10, which is 72.9 liters. Without even solving, you can directly, by the minute you see that, if you're strong with the squares, we can get to the answer easily, very quickly. Probably for the previous question, we could do this also. The previous question, 50 liters, from which 10 liters is removed. So from 50 liters, 10 liters is removed, is 20%. If 20% gets reduced, we know that it's going to be 4 by 5, 4 by 5, or it can be said as 8 by 10, 8 by 10. So we know 100% is 50, then 8 by 10, 8 by 10 is nothing but 64. 64 by 100, so 64% is x. So 100% is 50 and 64% becomes x. So 100 divided by 2 is 50, then 64 divided by 2 is 32. That will be our answer. This can also be a technique. So the number of times, if it says 3 times what we do is into, if 500 liters of milk is there from which 50 liters is removed and the process is repeated 3 times as a whole, if they say, all that we have to do here, there is, probably I'll do that problem here. 500 liters from which, let's assume there's 500 liters and from which 50 liters of the milk is removed and replaced by water, and the process is repeated twice, or the process is repeated 3 times. All that we have to do is, we are very fast, 500 liters from which 50 liters is removed, which just means nothing but 10% is removed. 10% removes means 3 times, when we get 90 by 100 into 90 by 100 into 90 by 100. It's nothing but 9 cubes value. 9 cubes value, we know it's 729. 729 divided by 1000 is what we'll get. That's nothing but 9 by 10 into 9 by 10 into 9 by 10. So which is nothing but 729 divided by 1000. When we put it for 100, we'll get 72.9. So we know 100% value is 500, then 72.9 is x. We do that, the problem gets over. That's it. Nothing more than this. So 100% is 500. So 100 into 5 is this. So 72.9 will be what? 72.9 into 5. Or probably we could say 100% we take it as 1000. Then 72.9 will give us 729. For 500 we'll have to divide by 2. That's it. For 100% if I take it as 1000, then for 72.9 we'll get it as 729. So divide by 2 gives us for 500. It's nothing but 364.5. 729 divided by 2. So it is nothing but 36.45. 364.5. 364.5. That's what we'll get. A very simple question. Just that we'll have to be very fast. This is a very simple shortcut with which we could get to the answers. So try doing this, try practicing this, can help you. So our next question is 8 liters are drawn from a cask full of wine and is then filled with water. The operation is performed three more times. The ratio of quantity of wine now left in the cask to that of the water is 16 is to 65. How much wine the cask hold originally? So just read this question for a minute. So this question is totally different from the previous question, correct? Because the previous questions they have given us the total quantity, but here they have not mentioned the total quantity. Instead, they've said 8 liters was drawn off and is replaced with water, and the operation is repeated 3 times. So the ratio is 16 to 65. They've not given anything more. They've just told 8 liters is removed. So how do I get to the answer for this? There's a lot of complicated formulas involved and there's a lot of things. Let's not do that itself. Just go on to a very simple math that we know. So what we'll do is I'll try to explain you with this question with the first question that we have. So we'll go on to the first question now. So what happens here is I just want to see 50 liters from which 10 liters of milk was taken out and replaced by water. This process is repeated one more time. How much milk is now left in the container? So initially we had 50 liters, got it? So initially we had 50 liters, then it gets reduced by 2 times, it is reduced by 20%. So we know it's going to be into 4 by 5 into 4 by 5. Our answer is going to be 32. That is what we get. Now when I take the ratio, this is the end value of, this is the end value of milk. This is the end value of milk. And I know the total portion of milk initially was 50 liters. So I'll take this portion. So can I take this as 32 liters of milk and 50 liters of total is what I had. So now they are in the ratio 16 is to 25. They're in the ratio 16 is to 25. So they are in the ratio 16 is to 25. So when I take 16 is to 25 as the ratio, no, I know the process is repeated 2 times. So what happens is I'm just taking the square root of this, because what happens here is we know it is multiplied by the square number. It gets multiplied by the square number. So a square gets involved. When the process is repeated 3 times, there's a cube which is getting involved. When the process is repeated 4 times, the fourth part gets involved here. So this one, because the process is repeated twice, what I'm doing here is I'm taking the square root for this. For 16, the square root is square root of 16, and here the square root of 25 is what I'll have to look into. So square root for 16 and square root for 25. So square root for 16 is 4 and square root for 25 is 5. When I do this, the difference is 4 parts becomes, 5 is your total, out of which 4 parts is milk. This is what happens at the end of one time. That's what happened, right? At the end of first time removal of milk. First time removal of milk and addition of water. What happened was 10 liters was removed, 50 liters from which 10 liters was removed. So it became 40 liters of milk and 10 liters of water was added. So 50 liters of the total portion. So 4 is to 5 was the ratio. That is what we've got here. 4 is to 5 is the ratio. Able to understand? Every time what we get is we'll get a square. We'll get a square in this ratio for the total and the amount of milk, or the amount of the liquid that is present. So the ratio for total and milk, when I take 4 is to 5 is the ratio. 4 is to 5 is the difference is 1 part. 5 minus 4 is 1 part. That 1 part difference is because I have removed how many liters from the thing? It is 10 liters. I have removed 10 liters here. I have removed 10 liters here, which has become the difference there. So 10 liters is removed. So 1 part is 10 liters. 10 liters is equal to 1 part. Then the total is, we know it's 5 parts. So 5 parts is 50 liters. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, with this, I'm going to solve the other question. With this method, I'm going to solve the other question, because they've not given us the exact value. Here, what I'm doing here is, I have started from a place, since we know this value, 32 is to 50, and when I reverse it as ratio, I get it as 16 is to 25, which is nothing but the square root of 16 and 25 gives you the ratio as 4 is to 5. So it is in the ratio 4 is to 5, which gives you the first step. So that difference is because of the 10 liters which gets removed after the process of one time removal. That is what we'll get, 4 is to 5, and that one part is nothing but 10 liters, then actual 5 parts gives you 50 liters. Similarly, with this question, what I'm going to do here is 8 liters are drawn off, so which means 8 liters is the difference creator. And what they've told is the operation is performed 3 more times. So 3 more times it is going to be a cube root. The ratio of wine now left in the cask is wine to water. They've given the wine to water ratio 16 is to 65. So wine is 16, water is 65. That is what they've given as a ratio. Then total will be 16 plus 65, which is nothing but 81 liters. 81. 81 is going to be the ratio. So now what I'm going to take is, I'm going to take the ratio between the ratio 8 liters are drawn from a cask full of wine is then filled with water. I'm going to take the ratio, it's performed 3 times. The ratio of wine now left in the casks to that of water is 16. So wine, and I'm going to take the total. So wine is going to be 16 and total is going to be 81. So when I take the cube root of both of them, because the process repeated 3 times, so I'm taking the cube root. Cube root of, further the operation is performed. The cask, 8 liters are drawn off from a cask full of wine, then filled with water. This operation is performed 3 more times. So they've told 3 more times. So totally it's going to be the 4th part. They've not said 3 times, they've said 3 more times. So the process is going to be 4th part. 4th power of 16 is to 4th power of 81. So what do we get here? It's nothing but 16. 4th power is nothing but 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 gives us 16. So 2 is 2 gives you 4 and 2 into something into 3 into 3 into 3 into 3 gives us 81. So 2 is to 3. 4th power of 81 is square root, 4th power root of this thing is 2 is to 3. So 2 is to 3 is giving you the first ratio after the first process of removal happens. So 2 is to 3. So the difference is 3 from the total is going to be 3 parts and wine is going to be 2 parts. That is because of the removal of 8 liters of the wine. So that is 3 minus 2, which is the 1 part difference, which is the removal of wine. So that 1 part is 8 liters. 1 part of is 8 liters. So how much wine the cask had originally holded? So the cask is actually originally holded 3 parts. We know that it's given here. So the answer is 3 into 8, which is 24. A very simple procedure. Can you understand what I'm doing here? It is a matter of 15 seconds in which you can solve this problem. You don't have to take more time at all, just 15 seconds. So how do we solve this? All that I have to do here is I take the wine ratio with the total ratio. Wine is 16, total is 81. So I'm finding, because the process is repeated 4 times, I'm taking the 4th root of this. So 4th root of this is 2 is to 3. So which means the difference of 2 is to 3, the difference is 1 part. That 1 part difference is because of that 8 liters which is removed from the container. 8 liters of wine which is removed from the container. So that 8 liters is 1 part, then actual is, the total is 3 parts. So 3 parts is 24 liters. A very simple procedure. Let's get to solve the next question. Now when you do this itself, by now I think you can solve this question very simple. 5 liters of wine is replaced from a filled container of oil and filled with water. So it is now repeated again. Now the ratio of wine and water becomes 25 is to 11. What is the capacity of the container? 25 is to 11 is the thing. Now wine and water is 25 is to 11. So wine is 25, water is 11. Then what is our total? Our total is going to be 36. 25 plus 11 is 36. So what do? 5 liters of wine is replaced from a filled container of oil and water with water is repeated again. So which means it's repeated 2 times. So it is going to be the square root of 25 and square root of 36. It's the total which we'll have to consider. So square root of 25 is to square root of 36. Our ratio is going to be 5 is to 6. Our ratio is going to be 5 is to 6. So 5 is to 6, the difference of 1 part is because 6 minus 5, 1 part is because of the removal of the 5 liters of wine. So the 1 part is equal to 5 liters. Then the question is, what is the capacity of the container? Capacity of the container, we know it's 6 parts. So 6 parts is nothing but 6 into 5, which is 30 liters. Because total is what it can actually find as capacity. So the total is 6 parts, so it's 30 liters. Way too simple? Yeah. And one more question, please. Now one more question of the same type. 10 gallons are drawn from a container full of alcohol and filled with water again. 10 gallons of mixture are again drawn and the container is filled with water again. If the ratio of alcohol and water left in the container is 49 is to 32, how much quantity does the container hold? With the question itself, we could understand the process done two times, that's alcohol is to water, which is nothing but 49 is to 32. Then our total is going to be 49 plus 32, which is nothing but 81. So what do I do here? The because the process is repeated two times, what I do is 49 is to 81. I take the square root of both of them. Square root of 49 is to square root of 81. So the answer is going to be 7 is to 9. So the difference is 9 minus 7 is equal to 2 parts. The 2 parts is because of what? 2 parts is because of the 10 gallons. 2 parts is nothing but the 10 gallons. So 2 parts is 10 gallons. Now the question is, how much quantity does the container hold? The container hold, how much quantity is the question? The container 2 parts is 10 liters. We know the container holds 9 parts. This is how much. 2 parts is 10 liters, then 9 parts is nothing but 45 liters. Cross multiplication. Just cross multiplication. Whereas 2 into 5 is 10, then 9 into 5 is 45 liters. A very simple shortcut? Yes. So through this shortcut we can get to the answer. Not even, this is a complicated question when you use a formula. For sure it is a very complicated question if you use a formula. But I believe that this shortcut would have been very useful for you guys. In fact, in these kind of questions, this question can be solved in less than 15 seconds. On proper practice, you guys can do it in 5 seconds in your mind itself. Just because all that you have to do is 49, 32, just add it and find the square root in your mind itself. That is like 7 is to 9. That we know the 2 parts difference. The 2 parts is nothing but 10 gallons. Then the 9 is what we'll have to calculate. 9 into 5 is 45. Very simple. All that we have to do is that. So just practice this way and be that person who has been different from a group, because you solve quicker, get to solve more questions. You spend a lot of questions on questions which require time, and that way you become a specialist solver. Okay, so just be that person who's unique. So I'll see you guys again in my next video. I thank you so much for your time and patience. See you guys in my next video.